Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR Halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Thursday, the 15th day of January. Here we go. Today, a little bit of talk about some Muktzeh items and how to deal with them. You know, after you finish eating your chicken bones, they may or may not be Muktzeh. If there's still a little bit of meat left on them after you finish eating them, then they're not really muktzeh because they're still a food item, and because they're still a food item and they're not muktzeh, you can comfortably move them to the trash or wherever you need to take them. If there's nothing on them, then you know they could be considered inherently muktzeh because they have no purpose now. They are just an item that has absolutely no use, and then they could be considered muktzeh. Interestingly, even those kinds of bones, if there's a little bit that a dog could still chew off of that bone, then it's not muktzeh because it still has use for a dog would happily eat that, and therefore it's not muktzeh because of that. Of course, you might say, I don't have a dog, so then they are muktzeh, and strangely, no, the halachas would still be that they're not muktzeh because a dog, which may not be in your house right now, but a dog could be eating from them, and that alone is enough to make it not be muktzeh, and therefore those bones with any possibility for a human to find some use for it or a dog to find some use for it would be considered not muktzeh. But if they're not really fit for anybody's consumption, a dog for whatever reason won't eat them and you won't eat them, then they are muktzeh, and they needed to be treated as muktzeh, and then you're going to have the issue of how to move them. Doesn't mean they're stuck where they landed on your table. You still might have other tricks to do. One of them would be you could try to be good about putting down those bones onto a plate that has some other food item that no one's eating and may go into the trash, and it's not muktzeh. And if it ends up on that plate, and there's a half-eaten apricot that no one wants left on that plate, and that apricot's going to be carried with that plate to the trash can, so the bones could go along with it. That could be one option for how to deal with that situation. Or, if they really did land on the table, then you are allowed to use the mechanism of kind of moving them, but in a little bit of a not direct way, like scraping them off the table with a knife, not directly with your hand picking them up and carrying them somewhere, but just scraping them with a knife or a utensil or a napkin. It's just not you quite directly, and you're just dragging them into a dustpan or something. You are then allowed to carry that dustpan over to the trash. The dustpan itself is a little bit like of a trash can, and you're putting the trash of the trash can into the trash can, and that would all be considered okay. The same kind of thing applies to like when you're shelling nuts. If at dessert you're eating some walnuts, any of those shells that still have a piece of walnut in them are totally not muktzeh because there's still some walnut in them, and if the shells have nothing in them, then they have this pretty much the same kind of status as everything else we just said. Try to put them on a plate, to have something else on the plate, use a knife, etc. Eggshells, if you're peeling eggs at shalshudas and you want to know what to do with the eggshells, it's really best to peel them right over the garbage can if you can. And if you don't end up doing that, then you could use any of the things we have just said, which is you slide them off of the table because you need their spot on the table, or something like that, or indirectly get them into the dustpan or something like that, or onto the plate, or any of the other things we just said. It's basically the same rule for the bones, the shells of nuts, and also the egg shells. Thanks for logging on, and log on again tomorrow for more. Bye-bye.